Unleash the power of your training. Welcome to Mapping Your Curriculum. Here are your hosts, Brannon Dreyer and Chad Bickle.
So welcome everybody, all the new people, over to the second session of how do you define success within an organization? That is the topic for today's session. Coming on. Hey, Maria.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear. Yeah.
All
So
right.
Maria, thank you for coming on stage. I am going to ask you just a very quick question. So again, this particular topic is, how do you define success within a role at an organization? And when I say define success, basically, have you ever mapped out a curriculum for a role that says, if you do all of this stuff, or if you learn all of this stuff and apply it to your job, you will be at peak performance?
So you kind of, you went out of that, but you said, if you do all the things in the job description, you'll be at peak performance. Is that what you said?
Yeah, sure. Yes, absolutely.
So, no, I don't think I've ever said that to anyone. So honestly.
Okay, perfect. How about Josh? Josh or Craig, have you guys ever had to define a curriculum for a certain role within an organization?
Oh, I've defined a role. I've written the job descriptions. Is that what you meant?
Sure, but let's ask a better question. So if you've written that job description, right,
Mm-hmm.
How did you determine what went into the job description? Like, how did you know that this particular bullet in the job description was part of this role?
I analyzed what was needed for the success of the opportunity or the position. So I would look at the role and say, I mean, we can use an example of an administrative assistant or of, someone along that line. I would say, okay, what are the functions that I need to make this job successful? And then I would outline them all. I would kind of do a T thing, and I would say, okay, answer phones, run documents, those kinds of things. So I'd write down all the elements of the job description, and then I would try to put it into a formalized communication that would make sense. Is that what you were asking? I apologize because
No.
I didn't understand the first time you said it. I think it's because you went kind of, I'll say wonky on the internet. So
Yeah. So yes, that's it. So this administrative assistant role, were you ever in this role or in a similar role?
When I was probably very, very young, working my way through school or college or something like that. Yeah, probably.
Did you interview somebody who had been in that role, that had already been there and was successful at that role?
Yeah, I probably did. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. John, Craig, anything to add? I'm going to take silence as a no. Thank you again, Maria. That was very helpful. So what Maria was talking about is something very similar to what we do when we have a client or a potential client who might have a need for our curriculum design workshop. That is what helps us. That is a series of facilitated exercises that helps us define success within a role. So let me give you an example, kind of set this stage. Chad and I, about 2 months ago, just got back. We traveled to a client location. This particular client was a franchise, and they were a pizza concept. They have been around for 20 plus years. They had about 40 locations, and these locations had been around for a long time, 15, 20 years, and they all were successful. And they hadn't grown in a while. And it wasn't that it's not that they didn't want to grow. They just chose not to because they really wanted to concentrate on these 40 locations and make sure that they had it right before they decided to grow. Now they're ready to grow, and they have a very aggressive growth plan in place. 200 to 300 locations within the next 36 to 48 months. So with that, if that's a very aggressive growth plan, they know that that all of their resources are probably going to be allocated elsewhere. And we need to be able to have some type of a formalized training program in place for all of these new franchise owners / operators, because that's typically that about 90% of their franchise owners are also operators. So they knew they had to have something in place for these people, right? They also knew that if they had something in place, it was only going to be a value add for their business development people to go out and say, hey, Maria, are you interested in our concept? I have no clue how to run a franchise. I don't even know what franchising means, let alone how to run a franchise, let alone how to run a business. Maria, understand, no worries. Not only are you going to have a support group from the franchisor level, but we already have a formalized training program in place, ready for you to go so that you can hit the ground running. We can increase or decrease your speed to competency. We're going to teach you what a franchise is. We're going to teach you how to run a restaurant. We're going to teach you how to run a business. So don't worry, right? So that is what they needed. That is what they needed. And they did not have that. They also didn't have the time. So when we engaged these people, what we offered was our curriculum design workshop, which is a 2-day facilitated workshop. So this particular workshop that we have saved this organization, I'm going to say very confidently, about 12 months worth of meetings. So what we did before we went to them is we identified who the role was, which obviously was going to be this franchise owner operator. What I asked them to do is I asked them to bring in franchise owners who are already there in that role, running a successful location, maybe a multi-location operator. I also asked them to bring in a franchise owner who maybe is 6 to 12 years old, who just came through the onboard training, program, fresh perspective. So we get into a conference room and then we start our series of exercises. And I'm just going to share my screen for a second. And can everybody see this little crazy dude right here? The first exercise that we take them through is we take them through this empathy mapping. Why do we do this? Well, the reason why we do this is because I need to get that room in the mindset of a franchised owner. This exercise also helps us uncover some gaps, some current gaps within their current training program. So the question that I ask them is, as a franchise owner, what are some of the things that you hear every day at your locations, right? They say ovens, team talk, customers, music. They hear diner music, TVs, third-party deliveries, ticket printer, right? Bump screens, cars driving up, upselling. That is what they hear. Well, what are they thinking? Well, they're thinking about the cleanliness. They're thinking about staffing. They're thinking about purchasing. They're thinking about inventory, sales, scheduling, right? So let's go back to staffing. The question that I asked them, okay, if you're always thinking, if staffing is top of mind, why is staffing top of mind? Well, Brandon, we have high turnover at our pizza delivery role. Okay. So if you have high turnover, I'm assuming you're constantly having to hire, recruit. That's right. Do you know how to do that? We do not. Okay. So there's a gap in their training program. Does it make sense for us to give them some type of training on how to hire, how to recruit, how to interview, right? What questions to ask during the interview process, etc. So again, it gives us a really good idea of what this franchise owner is going through every single day. And it also helps us identify gaps. So I won't go to another picture, but it's hearing, it's thinking, it's seeing, and it's saying. So again, helps them get into the mindset. The next exercise that we take them through is this knowledge, skills, and ability. Why do we do this? 2 reasons. One is this helps them better identify a qualified candidate. If that you have this aggressive growth plan, you need to go out and find 300 franchise owner operators. Here might be what the ideal franchise owner operator looks like, right? Are they detail oriented? Do they have the big picture vision? Do they have food safety experience? Do they have managing food costs? Are they cool under pressure? Labor management? Do they prioritize? Organizational skills, right? These are all good qualities, knowledge, skills, and abilities to have to be a successful, pizza franchise location owner. But does it really matter if we need phone skills? No, we can teach phone skills. Do we have a phone skills training program in place? No, there's our gap, right? Are we training them on customer service? No, there's another gap. How do we alleviate that? We can provide customer service training for them. So simple exercise, but yet powerful. Another real powerful exercise that we take them through is the question that I ask them is, what did you have to learn on your own that nobody taught you? This one really blew my mind. Remember, this is a pizza concept. The gentleman that said this, his family was the original the number one franchise location. They're the first. He had to learn how to make pizza on his own. They did not teach him how to make pizza, right? They also didn't teach him how to close the store properly. He had to learn that on his own. So, does it make sense to maybe develop some type of an open and closing checklist to give to all of your franchise locations so that they know how to properly open and close a store, handling customer complaints, how to compensate for angry customers? This is all customer service training that they can provide to their franchise owners. So again, very powerful exercise. The last exercise that we take them through is I ask them to identify challenges that they have every single day as a franchise owner operator. Staffing, driver retention. Tell me more about that. Well, Brandon, we have high turnover our delivery people because they are constantly competing with third-party delivery companies, Grubhub, food, right, DoorDash, all of those types of things, right? Because they can pick and choose when they want to work. They can sit at home. They can turn the app on, right? And they can be in their car in a minute driving to go deliver some food. So again, that was some of the challenges. Obviously, COVID-19 in the restaurant space, employees coming back from COVID, young employees' family don't want them to work. Again, parents don't want their kids to go work at a pizza joint because they're afraid that they would bring home COVID and spread it through the family. Cook retention, POS system converting, new technology, etc. So once we identify what some of the challenges are, the next question I say, if you wave the magic pizza wand and these challenges were to go away, what are the gains that you get? You get better customer service. You're going to get better delivery times. Focus on growing the team. Focus on quality of order, prepping the order. Again, these are all gains that come out of challenges. Excuse me. And we reference this throughout the 2 days because what I'm about to show you is how we're going to start to build the body of knowledge, what success looks like for that franchise owner operator. But we come back to this constantly throughout those 2 days to make sure that we're capturing. If we train this operator on this particular task, are we going to get increased sales? Are we going to be able to focus on quality of the order, right? And we validate as we go through. Once we finish with that, the real meat and potatoes is identifying or mapping out body of knowledge. This is what is called in the learning space called a DACUM, spelled D-A-C-U-M. You can look it up. It is a learning methodology that higher education, secondary ed professors use and teachers use to help them map out the curriculum for the semester or for the year. We've taken it and we've applied it into the business space. And so we remember we're in a conference room, right, with all these subject matter experts. And the question that I ask them is, we're going to focus on mapping out all of your duties. A duty in this particular is something that does not have a beginning and does not have an end. So all the green that you see over here on the left, these are all of the duties that they identified is something that I have to keep top of mind every single day. So let's just go in and let's identify some of them, right? Representing the brand, maintaining the exterior interior of the building, growing the business, managing food and beverage, right? So let me give you a really quick example. So a duty would be, especially in the restaurant space, would probably be something about food safety and food handling. That would be very top of mind in the restaurant space. But inside of that duty of food safety and handling might be a task that says how to properly wash and sanitize your hands, how to maintain food temperatures, how to properly sanitize food prep areas, how to properly store chemicals within the kitchen. These are all tasks that have a beginning and have an end that help you complete the duty of managing food safety and handling. So once we've gone through and identified these duties, that is when we come in and we start identifying tasks. Thank you, Chad. So let's just stay with growing the business, engage community partnership, apply and integrate marketing tools, participate in company-wide marketing campaigns. Look at the words that start out these tasks: create, engage, maintain, manage, perform, participate. These are all something that we call in the training space knowledge verbs. This is actionable items. This is something that we have to have on these tasks because this helps us measure the effectiveness of the training. Using words like understanding par levels for your product orders is you cannot measure understand, right? No par levels for your product orders. We can't measure no, but we can measure how to create par levels. If you're able to create a par level, we know that the training was successful. So once we've mapped out this owner operator, and it's not just this, I mean, it was fairly extensive, but you're probably wondering what these stickers represent. These stickers represent a criticality analysis. This helps the organization understand where they might want to start to build the training first and apply, right, the training within the first couple of weeks, months of this new role. Here's the question that we ask them. We give them stickers. We give them a bunch of red and we give them a bunch of green. We focus on red. Take up your red stickers, and of all of these tasks that you see up here, these are all the yellows. Of these tasks, if you do not train the role on these particular tasks, it's going to have the biggest negative impact on the organization. And then they go up and they put their stickers on. And then we talk about it. Is there any aha moments? Is there anybody in here that really knew, hey, we knew this was going to be a big task? Talk about it. Then we do opposite day. If you did train on these particular tasks, which ones up here, if you did, would have the biggest positive impact on the organization? And that's where the green stickers come in. So as you can see, like check manage quality control. They said if you didn't train on it, was going to have the biggest negative impact. They also said, but if we did train on it, was going to have the biggest positive impact. So we know that we should probably be training this franchise owner operator on how to manage quality control within the first couple of weeks within the organization. Same thing with like processing payroll. They need to know how to process payroll because if they don't pay their people are going to leave. So at the end of that exercise, they have a very clear understanding of where they're going to start the development first. You see these Y's all through here. You see these N's. We help them source content. And the question that I ask them is, perform daily cleaning tasks and customer touch points. Is this documented somewhere within the organization? Thank you, Chad. 2 minutes. Yes. Okay, so now we know that we have content that will help us build the training. And then the last exercise that we take them through is you see these timestamps, 8 hours, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. That is, if Chad's a subject matter expert and Brandon's the new guy, how long would it take Chad to explain to Brandon how to perform daily cleaning tasks so that Brandon gets that basic working knowledge? What does that do? That helps us understand how long the training should be and what modality we should develop it in. At the end of this 2 days, we take this raw data, we put it into some documentations, we hand it over to the client, Now they have their blueprint on what success looks like for the different roles within the organization. And that is my spiel. Any questions, comments, concerns? Maria? You're on mute, Maria.
I love it. I like the green and the red dots because you had something where there were 3 green dots, and obviously that's a huge impact opportunity for them. And
Yes.
then it has a huge positive impact opportunity. And then the red dots, apparently, like that one, okay. So what's the 3 red and then the 3 green? So obviously you had a number of people that thought analyzing the P&L was covered and others didn't think it was. Is that what you're saying there?
No, what we're saying here is I tell them, of all of these tasks that we just now have identified, if you do not train on a particular task, it's going to have the biggest negative impact on the organization. And that's where these red dots came from.
Right.
Yep. And then we play opposite day. If you did train.
Opposite day. Okay.
Yeah. If you did train, it's going to have the biggest positive impact. And even though people, they're like, well, how, basically what comes out of this is now we know that analyzing the P&L is a very important, high impact task for a franchise owner operator. So we want to make sure that we're getting this information to them within the first at least 2 to 3 weeks of them coming on board.
The visual is amazing that you may see this or think about it, or excuse me, you may say, oh, I know I need to do this, but you don't really see it until you see it and do it. I love the green and red dots. I think that's amazing.
I'll add too, Maria, that it's really interesting when you have SMEs from and experts in the organization from different departments. Like when you have someone from training or you have someone from marketing. It's really interesting bringing together different perspectives because someone might put a red dot on something that I wouldn't have thought about.
Right.
And then, and when you do have those outlier dots, it's really good when you break this down and you can really see and have that person explain, well, why did you put a red dot on that? Like, can you dive deeper into that topic for us so everyone can get on the same page with you?
Yeah. I work with onboarding franchisees, and this is just amazing if you were to write out the onboard program.
Yeah, Maria, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say it's really great. I really obviously like it.
Well, I think that's the next phase, right, Brandon?
Yeah. So Maria, 9 times out of 10, the high critical tasks that come out of this exercise, 9 times out of 10 ends up on the onboarding of a new franchise owner.
Yeah, I could see that. I was amazed in watching it.
So this is not like proprietary, the criticality. There's a gentleman out there in the world. His name is Bob Mosier. And this is one methodology that he shares. That it's part of his training methodology, but his is done in numbers 1 through 7. 7 being catastrophic, 1 being minimal impact. We used to just go around the room. Okay, managing quality, is that a 1, a 2, a 3, a 7? And we'd let people scream and do it. But what we noticed was if there was ever a C-suite or an upper management person in the room, the entry-level roles were agreeing with them, right? So we felt like we weren't getting the true data. So by doing it with these stickers, one, it made it a little bit more interactive. They got them out of their seats and they were able to go up on and actually physically do something. But 2, it gave us truer data.
Yeah, no, I just think it's great. I've done something in the past where I would have a group of people write from their department, write down 3 things that you like about your department or that you'd like to change, and then they go and put it up. And I can't remember. I read that in some marketing book, and it really was nice. And then they go and move them around. But I think that the color scheme is just such a nice visual.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Thank
And
you,
then too,
Maria.
Brandon, did you touch on how you and Chad bring this back and work to create really an entire curriculum map and present that to the client with solutions?
Yeah, so this raw data, Chad and I, we come back, and Adria's team helps us with this as well. What we do is we take all this raw data and we put it into documentation. This body of knowledge that you see here, this goes into an Excel spreadsheet, right? We color code it and put in all the criticality analysis. We define all of the tasks and all of the duties for them. That's where Adria's team is so important, because they're in there taking notes, because managing financials for this concept may mean something completely different for that concept over there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we make sure that we are capturing definitions for all of this. And then we just build a nice little pretty report out in a PowerPoint presentation with recommendations. This is where you guys should start first.
Yeah, I just don't want it to come across. I mean, just like you said, Brandon, it's not a cookie cutter. Oh yeah, every single task you see up here equals an e-learning lesson, because e-learning is not just like the blanket solution for everything. There's side-by-side training, job aids, videos, e-learning, ILTs, VILTs, and it's our job to take a deep dive into that and determine what's best.
Yeah, real quick, I know we're running out of time. So like to Adria's point, analyzing the P&L. Do you think you could train somebody with a 10-minute e-learning lesson on how to analyze a P&L? Maybe, but I think it would be more effective if we were actually in a classroom setting and an instructor led. But teaching them how to create the P&L budget, how to maybe fill out the P&L, right? You could accomplish that in an online environment. Basic working knowledge. I know what a P&L is and I know how to fill one out. Now I'm going to go to this classroom setting and I'm going to learn how to analyze it. What exactly does this information mean and how can I apply it to my job?